Okay, it's 10 o'clock. Good morning. My name is Melinda Ganellis. I am the co-president of Impact100 Westchester. I am here with Carol Pucci, who is the VP of Nonprofit Relations. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We are very excited to share with you all of our new updates for this cycle to our application and our process. You gave us your feedback and we took it very seriously, and it inspired us to make these changes. So thank you very much. And please continue to give us your feedback. It's extremely valuable to us and our organization. Just to let you know, we will be monitoring the Q&A. So if you have any questions during our presentation, please feel free to upload a question, and we will, if we don't get to it in our presentation, we will definitely address it at the very end. So I'm going to get started. Who are we? Well, Impact100 Westchester is a 501c3 women's collective giving organization. Our financial model is that each member gives $1,150. $1,000 is restricted, which goes into our grant fund, and $150 supports our operational expenses. We are 100% volunteer-led and run. Our members are women who recognize that collectively we can make a bigger difference in Westchester than we can individually. We are always striving to increase our diversity. EDs, board chairs, like our very own Carol, who's the board chair of CRC, and employees of nonprofits make great members. So please consider spreading our mission to your employees, your board members, or even yourselves. And we would love to have you guys as members. When you are involved in the conversation, you educate our members, you definitely increase the knowledge base of our discussions. So please do consider becoming a member, and we would love to have you. All right, so that's the end of my membership pitch, and I will hand it over to Carol.
Yes, as Melinda said, I'll start with our mission, but one of the things that was really impressive to me about the organization was the fact that we are really focused on providing transformational project grants and core mission grants to nonprofits throughout Westchester. Having been on the other side, I understand the process intimately, and I became really impressed by the organization. So I kind of echo her sentiments. And really, our mission beyond providing the grants is to educate our members about the nonprofit sector, raise awareness of lesser known nonprofits within Westchester, and then if we can, partner with some of the nonprofits to provide volunteer opportunities to our members through our hands-on impact projects, which are really exciting.
So just to jump on what Carol just said, our mission is actually somewhat two-sided. And on the one side, we want to provide these transformational grants and core mission grants to our nonprofits. But in order to do that, we must attract and retain members. So our model, So this is how our model and the grants that we give out each year, how it's determined. The number of members times 1,000 is the total funds that will be distributed to the nonprofits for that given year. Our members last year, we had 267 members. So that meant that we gave out $267,000 last year to the nonprofit community that either is based in Westchester or serves the Westchester community. Our membership drive will end on January 15th, and that's when we will announce our grant amounts.
Okay, so I'm going to go over this really quickly. I assume most of us that are on the call have been through the process, hopefully, at least one time before. So we have 3 types of grants: transformational project grants. These grants traditionally have supported new programs, expansions of existing programs, or capital projects, which, as Melinda mentioned, from my vantage point as the chair of the CRC, the ability to apply for a capital project grant was truly transformational for our organization and often difficult to find. We hope that it has the power to dramatically address unmet needs throughout Westchester. One thing that is different about these grants is they do require a grant agreement and periodic reporting, with individuals within Impact. Core mission grants, which cannot be applied for directly, are smaller grants. They are unrestricted and don't require a grant agreement or any ongoing reporting obligations. New last year were Boost Awards, and these were smaller grants of $5,000 that were awarded to smaller nonprofits with revenues of less than $250,000. I think the membership of Impact was really looking to try to partner with some of the smaller organizations throughout the county that are doing such amazing work. We're not going to get into a lot of the details of the Boost Award, but information on that process and application will be distributed in early January. It is a simpler application as one could expect. That process of applying will start in early February. Those awards will be announced in mid-May. So if you are someone that's going to be interested in applying for Boost, keep a lookout and feel free to email me along the way and I can keep you updated as well. So, our grant cycle. Our history. So 2024 marks our 11th grant cycle. Since 2014, we've awarded 81 grants totaling $3 million. So pretty impressive. In 2023, we awarded 2 transformational project grants of $80,000 each, 3 core mission grants of $29,000 each, and 4 Boost Awards totaling $20,000. And in 2022, we awarded 2 transformational project grants of $85,000, 3 core mission grants of $30,000 each, and 3 focus area grants totaling $27,000. So if we meet our membership goals, the Impact 100 expects to award 2 transformational project grants, some range of $50,000 to $85,000. 2 core mission grants, which would be awarded to the 2 finalists who do not receive the transformational project grants. Again, depending upon if we meet our goals, somewhere in the range of $20,000 to $30,000. 4 site visit awards of $5,000 each, and 4 Boost Awards of $5,000 each. And we'll get into a little bit more about the site visit awards. Not going to go through each of these, but these next 2 slides highlight all the great projects throughout the history of Impact 100 that we have awarded and the types of grants. So you'll see we have lots of program expansions. We have capital projects. A lot of new programs. Some organizations, they were very impactful in helping them get off the ground. So, there's a real range. So for those of you out there that are trying to figure out what type of grant, it just gives you an idea that there's lots of opportunities to figure out where you might fit into the Impact 100 grant cycle. Okay, so our grant cycle. The next couple of slides, we're going to go over our calendar, eligibility, evaluation, and then our process. So our 2024 grant cycle, we tried to highlight, Melinda and I, just the really critical dates. It does look like there's a lot of them, but, for those of you that have been involved in this before, not a whole lot of this is very different other than the grants, but there are some really important changes that Melinda's going to highlight. So I'll just start with the beginning dates. So November 13th, slide opens in order for you to be able to submit a grant application. December 5th and 7th, there'll be project pitch workshops, which as I practiced, that was very difficult to say, project pitch workshops. We have a whole slide on those, so we'll explain those in greater detail. December 13th, we have a partnership with an amazing grant writer, and there's a conference call. We have a slide on that as well. January 12th, by that point, we expect that our membership drive will be completed, which will enable us by the 15th to announce what our actual grant amounts will be for the 2024 grant cycle. And then January 26th, probably the most important day for the nonprofits, is that is your deadline submission date to submit your grant application. I'm going to hand it over to Melinda so she can highlight some of the exciting changes for this year.
So new this year, we only have 1 application. Prior years, you had to go in and out of our slide room, our online application portal. This year, you go into Slide Room, you complete the one application, you upload the required documents, and that's it. You are done with Slide Room. So the application is a lot simpler, and we'll go into the application in more detail later, but that is brand new to this cycle. Also brand new to this cycle, starting on March 1st. So after our grant review committees review the grant applications, and again, we will go into this in more detail later, we select approximately 16 nonprofits to go into our second round. As you can imagine, after reviewing any application, there are always follow-up questions. And in the past, we would send the email you the questions, you would respond to the questions and then upload it to Slide Room. We would have further questions. We would then unsubmit your application and ask you to either clarify some questions. And it just went back and forth, all these emails and uploading documents and unsubmitting applications. And it was exhausting for all of us. This year, we decided that we will email you the follow-up questions and then arrange maximum 10-minute recorded Zoom call. So we would go over the questions, if we had any further questions, and just have a discussion. And we decided to do this for two reasons. One, we heard from many nonprofit applicants that given the fact that so many applications are now online, they rarely, if ever, have the opportunity to have a conversation with the grantor. And this, we decided, well, you know, we want to have the conversations with the nonprofit community. We want to build partnerships, and what better way than to allow us to have an opportunity to have a quick discussion. And then secondly, just to repeat it, just to not be so exhausted with all the emails and the back and forth and having to deal with our online application.
Okay, thank you, Melinda. So just again, very quickly, in order to be eligible to apply for a grant, you need to be a tax-exempt 501c3, operating or proposing to operate programs for the benefit of Westchester residents, operating for at least 36 months prior to applying for a grant. You have to have 2 years of CPA audited or reviewed financial statements. Your revenues need to be between $250,000 and $25 million. And of course, there's a big caveat there, excluding Medicaid and Medicare reimbursements. And if there's any nonprofit that has a scenario that's slightly outside of this, you can email us and we can talk to you on a case-by-case basis. Not have received an Impact100 Westchester Transformational Project Grant within the last 3 years, and not a town or village. So in terms of project and or program eligibility, obviously needs to serve residents and expend funds in Westchester. It can be a new program, an expansion of existing program, or a capital project, just the way we kind of highlighted all the projects in those two slides, but really cannot subsidize current operations. Total project budget must be equal or greater to than the Transformational Project Grant amount. So once those amounts are announced, you'll know what your project has to equal. We hope that the funds will be expended within 18 months of the initial grant installment. And new this cycle, and Belinda, feel free to, if you want to jump in as well, is that operating expenses, which we're referring to as core operating expenses, cannot exceed 30% of the project grant amount, which historically has been 15%. And we're defining operating expenses as expenses which will be incurred by your organization, whether or not the project goes forward. So if you want to add a little color to this.
So here was another instance where we took your feedback seriously. We increased our the core operating expenses to 30%. And in our project budget worksheet in the past, we would ask you to detail how you would spend the 15% of your core operating expenses. This year, we're not asking you. It's 30% goes to core operating expenses, and you get to decide. You don't have to explain it to us or detail it to us how you're going to use the 30% of the Transformational Project Grant if you're awarded that grant. So again, continue to give us your feedback, because we are implementing changes based on what you're telling us the nonprofit community needs from their grantors.
Thank you, Melinda. So this It's not really necessarily, this is what we provide to our members, particularly individuals that are new to Impact and are new to evaluating grant proposals. So these are some of the thinking points, I guess, that we encourage our members, to utilize as they're part of a grant review committee looking at the grants. Will the program or the expansion of the existing program or even the capital project be transformational in some way, either to the population that your nonprofit serves or the nonprofit itself? We're hoping that the program is going to be impactful, that the implementation, that there's a high likelihood that this project is actually going to go forward. That the organization has really kind of laid out that they have a good means of assessing and looking at how this project or program, the goals are going to be measured and outlined in outputs in the future, and whether or not the actual program following the grant period is sustainable. So this just gives you a little flavor. So some of the ways that we look at the grants as we're evaluating them. Some of the things that we do not fund, activities that are partisan, religious-based, annual, or political appeals, or in any support of any political party. Loans or debt reduction, we don't do any interim or bridge financing. We don't really fund anything that's exclusively for operating funds. Endowments, research, or projects that benefit a for-profit organization or private foundation or individual, or any general capital campaigns or fund drives. So there's a little note here just to ensure that none of the activities in your proposed project or program incorporate these items. Okay, pretty straightforward. The documents that are required for the grant application: we need to see your 501c3 letter, your most recently filed 990s with all the supporting schedules, your project budget worksheet. We're going to go through that in a little bit more detail. Your current fiscal year operating budget and your audited or reviewed financial statements for the last 2 years, including the accountant's report.
So as I mentioned earlier, Slide Room. Slide Room is our online grant application tool or portal. In order to, once it's live, and slide 12, and yes, I'm getting a lot of questions. Will these slides be available? They will be available once the presentation's over. It'll be on our website. And I would suggest that you focus on slide 12, which was our calendar, which after getting all excited about the virtual interviews, didn't really go line by line. But as we go through each of these steps of the application, you can return to slide 12 to see when each step is due. So when our portal opens, which will open on November 13th, you could go into our website under apply for a grant, under grant application resources, grant application portal button, and then you will enter Slide Room. If you have not already created an account, there's 2 points that's very important and that will make the process a lot easier to begin with. First is that when you're creating an account, please use the organization's name, that the nonprofit for which your 501c3 matches. Please do not put in your own personal name. That's just going to create a lot of back and forth for us and you. The other thing that's very important is that sometimes people just throw in a generic email, like that gets a lot of, like an informational type of email. Please make sure that you use an email for the person that's going to be the most responsible for the application, because going forward, the only communication you will receive from us will be through Slide Room and will be to that one email address that's attached to your application. As Carol had mentioned earlier, there are a lot of required documents that need to be uploaded with your application, and one of which is the project budget worksheet. And you, again, if you go into our website, apply for grant, under grant application resources, you will see our specific project budget worksheet there. What our project budget worksheet does is we have predefined areas that we would ask you to fill out. So you'll have the opportunity to list out and detail for us and give us descriptions for these expenditure categories. So facility construction, supplies and services, etc. If it applies, you put in the amount of your project that goes into those categories with a little bit of a description. It's actually, it sounds a lot more complicated when you click into it, when you download the Excel spreadsheet and you play around with it. You'll see that it's very, very simple. We ask that you only use our project budget worksheet and not upload your own. And in our project budget worksheet, if numbers don't add up, if things don't match, you will see error messages. So just, keep an eye out for those error messages, and also make sure that your total project cost is either equal to or greater than our award, because we will have to, unsubmit your application and ask you to rework the number so that it's equal to or greater than our award. So before that, as we stated earlier, the application portal will be open on November 13th, but in the coming days, we'll have a PDF of our application. So if you want to review it and get used to the questions that, that we're asking, please feel free to do that. Just to let you know, so some of the you will see that some of the questions are the same, but a lot of the questions are different. One, because we had to combine it into one application, but two, a lot of our past award winners and some other members of the nonprofit community had asked us if we could research or look into other online applications and see if we can ask the questions that are common in other applications, rather than for us to ask a question in one specific way, because it just created a lot of work for you to have to rewrite answers for information that could have been available already, that you could have already prepared for other applications. So that's what we did over the summer. Over the summer, we reviewed many online applications and changed our questions so that we were still getting the information we needed, but in a way that it was very common to other applications. So making it a little bit easier for you. Our grant amounts will be announced on January 15th. The grant applications plus attachments will be due on January 26th. You will receive an email, a confirmation email, after you submit your grant application. And again, it will be sent to the email that you use to create an account. Our grant review committees will evaluate the grant applications. So we have, depending on the number of applications that are submitted, we divide our membership into grant review committees, and each committee will review up to 10 applications. And our finance committee will also review your either your audited or your independently reviewed financial statements. And so that's why everything has to be uploaded by the January 26th. So once we go through this initial application, this initial review process, then we can move forward very, very quickly. So stage 2, so after your grant applications have been uploaded to SlideRoom, after our grant review committees have reviewed all of the applications, our grant review committees will then select approximately 16 applicants to participate in a virtual interview. On March 4th, all applicants that have been selected to move on to the second round will receive follow-up questions from the grant review committee discussions via email, just a Word document. Not a lot of questions. And if you ever applied in the past, it's maybe 4 or 5 questions. Can you elaborate on this? Something that maybe you thought was very clear in the application. Maybe our members don't understand. And so they're innocent. They're not extremely detailed oriented questions. We ask that you send us the responses back via email, just to make sure that we're kind of on the same page, that we communicated our questions in a clear way. Sometimes we think we're asking something, you receive the question, you think we're not matching up. So we ask for those questions to be emailed back to us, the responses to be emailed back to us, to make sure we're kind of on the same page. And then we will schedule with you between the periods of March 25th and April 5th. We will work with your schedule, but so if now, maybe to keep that time period a little bit open, again, it'll be a maximum of 10 minutes just to go over the responses. We also found that in the past, when we were going with some nonprofits, we would just go back and forth with the emails, and that worked. We got the information that we needed. But other times when the nonprofit would say, can we just like have a quick conversation, and maybe that would make things clearer. We found that yes, it made things a lot clearer, but it also gave those nonprofits a leg up, because it allowed the members who had the conversations with them to really understand what they were saying. So we decided that this way, every nonprofit that moves on to the second round will have the communications, and no one will have this advantage that we didn't realize that we were giving to some of the nonprofits. As in years past, after the grant review committees they're going to review the recorded Zoom chats, and then they will invite approximately 8 applicants to go to our third round, which would be a virtual site visit. And those site visits will take place from April 22nd to May 3rd. And here's another instance in which we heard your feedback. In the past, we only had 1 week in which we would try to plan all of these virtual site visits. And we were told that it just squeezes too many of the nonprofits. They needed more flexibility. So this year, this cycle, we built in 2 weeks so that we can plan these virtual site visits. This is new this cycle, and it's in red because we're very, very excited about this. We do sincerely appreciate all the work that you have put into our grant application process up until this point. Consequently, if you make it to the third round, if you make it to a virtual site visit, if you give us the time and opportunity to really learn about your nonprofit and meet with our grant review committee through this virtual site visit, we're very grateful for that. So we are going to award a grant to anyone who makes it to this stage. We're not exactly sure what the amount of that award will be. It'll be smaller than our core mission grants or our transformational grants, obviously, but depending on our membership numbers, we will be awarding a grant at this level, which our membership is very excited to do.
Okay, so I'll take it from here. So I'm going to go through this pretty quickly. We're throwing a lot of dates at you. I was looking through the Q&A. We will answer all the questions at the end of the session, but I know a lot of individuals are making sure that they're going to get a copy of these slides. You don't have to remember all this. It will be posted, and we're always here to answer any questions you might have subsequent to this meeting. But so basically we're now on stage 4, which is when it starts to get super exciting, then that there's a selection of finalists in our annual meeting. So 1 finalist will be selected after the virtual site visits. 1 finalist will be selected by each grant review committee. Those nonprofits are notified on the 10th of May, and then our annual meeting takes place on June the 4th. At the annual meeting, each finalist makes a short presentation, and then there will be guidelines provided to those individual nonprofits at that time. And then Impact100 members actually vote live in the room to award the 2 transformational project grants. And then the other finalists are then awarded core mission grants, the finalists that did not get the 2 transformational project grants. So I did see one of the questions in the Q&A about how do you apply for a core mission grant. You actually are applying for a transformational project grant. If you make it to the annual meeting and are not awarded one of the transformational project grants, you are awarded a core mission grant. So hopefully that makes sense. Members of Impact may not make the finalist presentation on behalf of the organization. Like in the event you had someone like myself that was really involved in an organization. So moving on to the exciting stuff, payment of the grants awards. Payment of each transformational project grant requires, as I had mentioned earlier, a signed grant agreement, which will detail specific terms, could be, project specifics of the project, payment schedule, reporting requirements, etc. Core mission grants, on the other hand, are actually paid out shortly after the annual meeting. These funds can be spent in any manner of, that the nonprofit chooses to support the core mission of the organization. So just a couple of, before you apply, helpful hints. So again, we're just going to say the most important date, the applications are due January 26th. Take some time, before that time to review our updated grant application, which will be, is it on our website yet, or it will be posted on our website? Melinda, do you know?
It will be posted.
It will be posted. Okay, thank you. It will be posted, so you get a chance to review the changes in the grant application. Review the updated project budget worksheet, which will also be posted on our website. Review the list of questions and necessary documents to upload. And, we encourage you as early as you want, starting November 13th, when it actually opens in Slide Room, to start working on your application.
So a day or two after this, we have a little bit of a lag in terms of our tech. We will be uploading these slides. As Carol had said earlier, we will be uploading the PDF of the application so that you can review it before the portals open. We'll upload the project budget worksheet. There were so many changes that we first wanted to have this informational session before uploading the information on our website, so we didn't want to create confusion.
Absolutely.
All right, next slide.
Couple of helpful hints. I'm just going to, obviously read the eligibility requirements, check the accuracy of your work. I think the most important helpful hint of all is that, as Melinda has been reinforcing, we really want to partner with you. We're excited, particularly me. I'm not new to Impact, but I'm new to this role. And, I'm grateful at the opportunity, to be able to work with any of you, to answer any of your questions. So this email goes to me. So any questions that you may have, we're here to support you as much as you need over the next several months. And then, so the difference with that, once we have all the grants submitted, and we have all the grant applications assigned to the individual grant review committees, nonprofit advisors are part of the grant review committees. You'll be assigned a nonprofit advisor. That is not me. And then those individuals will reach out to your nonprofit directly. But the nonprofit advisors are really the most experienced Impact members that can provide a lot of really helpful support and guidance and advice if you choose to take advantage of it. Working with a nonprofit advisor is completely optional and at your discretion, but they focus on doing these project pitch workshops, which, if you might have a couple of different ideas that you're thinking and trying to figure out what makes sense, what might be the best grant to put forward this cycle, they can help you with that. If you have any other additional questions once we're in the process, they can help explain the grant process, eligibility. So those individual meetings will be set up, for the pitch workshops, December 5th or 7th. You'll get an email from your individual nonprofit advisor. And then for any nonprofits that make it, to the site visits, and particularly to the annual meeting, they provide a lot of guidance on getting ready for those. And I had mentioned that we have an amazing partnership with Joanne Stewart. She offers through her organization, the Grant Professionals of Lower Hudson. She hosts a Zoom workshop to discuss the mechanics and the actual writing of our grant. As we said, you'll get these slides, but you'll see that in order to register for that, you're going to register directly by emailing Joanne, and then she can help. She'll get all the required information for you so that you can participate. Again, that is completely optional. But if you like a sort of a unrelated to Impact organization that's helped a lot over the past, this could be a really great resource. Boy, I stumbled on that slide.
I'm sorry?
Hi, Joanne. And
I'm sorry.
No, that was me. It was like too many words. And that's kind of it, right? That's our last slide. Thank you and good luck. As I mentioned, any questions, feel free to email us.
So I stopped sharing the slide, and I apologize. I'm not sure if the Q&As were coming up during the presentation. Were they showing up when I was sharing the screen? No? Okay. So I wanted to, there's several questions that I just wanted to go through as we start wrapping up the webinar. Yes, so the way the program, so one of the questions is, do we need to apply for the transformational amount only, not the lesser amounts, core, site, or booster? So if you are a nonprofit with revenue less than $250,000, then you may apply to our Boost Award. So those are for the smaller nonprofits that do not qualify for our transformational project grants. So if you have a revenue of less than $250,000, then please do apply to Boost. That application process will start later. We'll start providing more information for that. When was it? We said in January, we're going to start supplying information for the Boost. The process is a lot quicker. Very few questions, very few eligibility criteria. So that's for the Boost Award. After the Boost Award, then yes, you must apply for the Transformational Project Grant. And through our process, if you make it to the site visit, then you will get the site visit award. For those that don't make it to the finalists. So at the site visit, we said there'll be about 8 applicants, only 4 of which will move on to the finalists. So the 4 that do not move to the annual meeting stage will receive a site visit award. The 4 that do move on to the annual meeting, to the finalist stage, they will receive either our larger transformational project grant, which is a restricted grant specifically for the project that you're applying for, and that's why we have to have a grant agreement, or they will receive the core mission grant, which is an unrestricted grant. So last year, our transformational project grant was $80,000 and our core mission grant was $29,000. So if you make it to the finalist round, you will be awarded a significant grant. Can I be a member of Impact 100 and still serve as a grant writer for an applicant? Yes, yes, and yes. We have several grant writers that are members. We ask you to fill out a conflict of interest so that we make sure you're not on the grant review committee of the grant that you wrote, so that'll be put on a different committee, and then you can be part of our process, be a member in any way. So yes, please reach out to membership. We would love to have you as a member, and we cannot tell you how much we love our grant writer members, because they're the ones who give us a lot of the feedback on how to change our process. They explain a lot of what's happening in the nonprofit sector to our membership that just maybe not aware. So you're a valuable member. So yes, please, please. Is it possible to submit an application for a project that will impact people outside of Westchester County in addition to Westchester County? Yes, it is possible. We're not a science, we're an art. We do require that the majority of the people who are being affected, who are benefiting from your project, or will be Westchester residents, but we don't have a set formula. So it would depend on the project. So reach out to us, reach out to Carol. We could talk specifically about your idea, about your project, and we can give you more specific and individualized feedback. What time is the meeting on June 4th? It's an evening meeting. Last year, I believe it started around 6 or 7.
I think 6.
It started at 6. It's a fun event. It lasts no more than 2 hours. It's pretty quick. And the presentations, we ask each nonprofit, each of the finalists, to give an 8-minute presentation. And it could be mixed media. So we have a whole team of tech people to work with you and help you put your best foot forward. I believe those are all of the, okay. And I apologize. I sincerely apologize. We did not enable captioning, and we will do so in the future. I apologize. Most are in, I will see if in the recording if we could add captioning after the fact, and if we can, I definitely will do that. And all of the information is that we will upload the PDF, the slides, and all of the information will be available there. And if you have any further questions, please reach out to Carol. She's at grants@impactwestchester.org, or myself, I'm at info@impact100westchester.org. We love discussing ideas. We love hearing from you. So please feel free to reach out to us.
Melinda, there are a couple of more questions before we
Okay.
end.
How many applications do you typically receive? And what is the best way for grant consultants to apply on behalf of more than one nonprofit on SlideRoom? So we can receive, we received, geez, 1 year we received over 100. We tend to, I would say about 50 now. Now after COVID, you know, things have slowed down. We're hoping to receive more than 50. We would love to receive more than 50. We've changed our process and made it a simpler process, hoping to attract more applications, but typically it's about 50 that we received. And the best way for a grant consultant to apply on behalf of more than one nonprofit on SlideRoom, you would have to use different emails. You know, I would suggest using a different email for each nonprofit that you're applying for. That's what other grant writers have done in the past, because if one of your applications makes it further down the road, it needs to be tied to the organization name and the email. So that's the only way that SlideRoom will allow it to occur. What if we're a virtual organization? How do we do a site visit? So what's great about our site visits is that they're virtual too. So we arrange for a time for the grant review committees that your nonprofit is assigned to meet with you virtually, and it could just be a discussion. You can do a presentation like we did, a PDF presentation, or you know, it's at your discretion how you want to have that interaction. So the virtual interview will only be with a couple of members of the committee, and we would discuss your responses, and that will be recorded, which we would share with the full grant review committee. You will be, then if you make it to the next round, to the virtual site visit, that will be interactive with the entire grant review committee. And just to let you know, on the virtual interview, the second round, that doesn't have to necessarily be with the ED or with the grant writer. You may look at the questions that we're asking and decide that maybe it should be with the specific program director, or depending on the questions. And again, I just want to stress that maximum 10 minutes. It's not going to be a huge chunk of your time, whereas the site visits will require a little more planning, a little more preparation. And that's why if you make it to that round, we want to make sure that everyone that makes it to that round gets some type of award.
Absolutely.
Are the pitch shops one-on-one, or do we attend in a group? The pitch shops are one-on-one. They're virtual as well, with a nonprofit advisor, and you will be allotted a given time slot to zoom in and have the conversation with the nonprofit advisor. Registration for grant. Okay, registration for.
Oh, thank you, Joanne.
The registration for the grant writing workshop will be through www.gplh.org, and we will make sure that that information is also available on our website. So we do have a 36-month, you may not apply for a grant until after 36 months from the first payment. So Eldridge, why don't you give us a call or reach out to us, and then we can address. So we have a past transformational grant winner who is now looking forward to reapply, which we're extremely excited about that. We love when our past award winners apply, so reapply. So thank you, and why don't you reach out to us and we can go over specifically your application. So we will. So people wanted to know how you would get invitations for the project pitch workshops. The same way you received the invitation for this webinar, we will be sending it out to those same emails. So if you receive the invitation to get into this webinar, then you will also receive information about the project pitch workshops. Are there a minimum of grant requests? Yes, each nonprofit can only apply for one grant per cycle. Is in-kind giving considered as you consider the $250,000 threshold? No. But I said no very quickly. You know what? That's something that reach out to us, and then we can speak specifically and see what your financials are and exactly what how it comes out on your financial statements. Because I'm thinking of an example that pertains to Impact 100, so I quickly said no. But it could be different for your organization, so please reach out to us, and then we can discuss your specific situation.
Agreed.
So the question is, will all 8 organizations that make it to the virtual site visits receive those smaller awards? Are those awards to help pay for preparing the virtual site visit presentation? Or do only the 4 who don't make it as finalists receive those awards? So the smaller site visits awards are only for the 4 who do not make it to the finalist round. They will be given to you after the site visit. So and you can use, they're unrestricted, so you can use them in any way that you want. The 4 who make it to the finalists round, they will be receiving significant awards from $20,000 and up. So it's not in addition to the site visit award. So the site visit award, the smaller award, are for the 4 that do not make it to the next round. Do we know where our annual meeting will be? Yes, it'll be at Metropolis Club in it's located in Mid-Westchester. It escapes me the town. Carol, do you remember the town of? It's Midwest.
Like about Pisco? It's like over there somewhere, right? Oh, okay.
We try to pick a location that's in Mid-Westchester, and it's actually a little further south than Mount Kisco, so it'll be smack in the middle. But I can't remember the exact. It's where our annual meeting was last year as well.
White Plains.
White Plains.
Yeah.
So are you open to awarding a nonprofit who has already won an award even after the 36 months? Yes. You can have won an award in year 1 and apply as long as 36 months have passed since us giving you your first payment. You can apply. And if you've won a core mission grant, you can apply the following year. It's only those who have won the Transformational Project Grant, the larger award, needs to wait 36 months. Anyone else, if you won a core mission grant, if you won the site visit grant, yes, you can reapply. Any chance of seeing a grant application from someone who has won a grant? Unfortunately, no. We are very respectful of confidentiality. We sign many agreements within our members that conversations that happen at committee meetings cannot leave committee meetings. When we evaluate your financial statements, when we literally either shred them or burn them, we are very, very sensitive to keeping things confidential. Now, if you go to our website and you can see who has won our past grants, and if you know anyone, you can reach out to them, and if they want to share with you how they applied and their application, then that's fine. But we, as Impact 100 Westchester, cannot share these applications.
And I guess I'll just add to that a second plug for Joanne's session. That could be a very helpful one, since Joanne has a long history of helping nonprofits with our specific grant application.
There's a question here that says minimum dollar amount, and I'm not sure what you mean in terms of minute, but I'm going to assume that it's for our awards. Our boost award we've announced is going to be $5,000. We don't know. Last year we gave out 4 boost awards. This year we don't know how many we're going to give out, just because again, our membership hasn't ended yet, our membership drive, and we can only determine our grant amounts based on our number of members, which is why I keep on plugging membership. So in January, mid-January, we will announce how many members we have, and then be able to announce our grant amounts. There was a slide in which we gave ranges. Our transformational grant, we are hoping to be from 50,000 to 85,000. Our core mission, we're hoping to be from 20,000 to 30,000. The site visits, ideally, we would hope that to be a minimum of 5,000. But again, our grant amounts have to be determined based on the number of members that we have.
And I'll just add to that as well. Frank, feel free to email me at the email. Maybe we should just put that in the chat again. And I can definitely go over any specific questions that you might have. I'd be happy to do that.
It says here, skimming the list of grantees, it seems like an environmental organization has not received a grant. Are the awards generally only given to social service organizations? Well, unfortunately, yes, we have not given one to an environmental organization, but no, our membership, if you do look at the awards, we're pretty impressed with how diverse our awards are, but it depends on the project. It really does. It depends on how it's communicated. So please, we would love to give to an environmental organization. We would love to increase the range of our grantees, but it's not that we specifically look to give to only one type of organization. It's just how it happens through our membership. Is that accurate? Will you share grant consultants' names on the website? So we will send out to the members. We will send out to all of the individuals that we sent the email invitation to this webinar. We will also send out the information to GPLH for the grant writing assistance, and so you'll have that information via email. We will send that as a mass email. If you know the slide that we showed of our past award winners were just our Transformational Project Award winners. We have given how many? 80 different awards so far. So that slide would just go on and on and on. But if you go into our website, you will see all of our award winners, including our Boost Award winners by year. Have you funded arts organizations targeting youth? We have, like I said, there are 80 different applications. One year, I know specifically we did an award for the arts. I don't know if it was for the youth, but it was a specific award in the arts. We do have several art organizations that apply. Again, go through our website, look through the different applicants. But our membership loves the arts. We do a lot of our educational events at museums. We value the importance of art. So please apply. And if you have a specific question about your organization, reach out to either Carol or myself. So I think that is all of the questions. Again, I cannot stress enough to please feel free to reach out to us. We love to hear from you. We would love to answer your specific questions. We will send out that last slide with the grant writing workshop information, so you have that available to you. And I say give us a day or two, because our tech guru is finally taking a vacation, which she hasn't taken a vacation in forever. Yeah, and she's flying to Australia, so we have to give her a day to get there, and then she'll be able to upload. Even on vacation, she's going to be working for us. But and she's a volunteer, extremely passionate about the nonprofit community in Westchester. So we will be sending out that information about the grant writing workshop. We will be sending out information about the pitch workshop that will be with a nonprofit advisor, an Impact100 Westchester member. And in the next day or two, all of these slides will be uploaded to our website, as well as the PDF of the application, as well as the project budget worksheet, so you can look around and see what that's all about. Again, we are more than available for any of your questions, and our website has a lot of information, so please skim it and look through it, and I think you'll see all of the great awardees that we've had in the past, and we hope that your name will be there for 2024. So with that, I think I'm going to end it. I'm going to do one last run to see if there are any more questions. Okay, no, that's it. We are all done. Thank you very, very much, and we look forward to hearing from all of you. Thank you for joining us, and have a great year. Be safe and happy holidays.
Thank you so much.